What is going on, YouTube people? Today, remember yesterday how we talked about PSA offers and all these things that hobby companies have shifted around over the last 6 months to cater things more and more towards repacks and repacks overall market or impact on the overall market and hobby ecosystem? This is why Courtyard.io set a record month for sales revenue in August. And they blew it out of the water. They're having a hell of a year as is, and they are just one of many. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Dive into some repack numbers. Just an insane month for them. And this is something we've been talking about for a while. You've been around on the channel for a while. Started talking about this. I don't remember exactly when the first video was. I know I did one in late 2023 titled like Repacks are the lifeblood of the hobby, talking about like the liquidity and all this. But we'll get into that. Before we do, you know what time it is. Penny Sleever. Shout out to the sponsor of today's video, the Penny Sleever. If you don't care about repacks and you're just opening packs yourself, you need some penny sleeves for them. And what better place to turn to than the Penny Sleever? You can get 10% off your first order with code NEOCARDS. You can get free shipping on orders $59 and up. Penny sleeves, top loaders, any hobby supply, they got it. Go check them out. So, before I bury the lead here, this is a Dune report. And listen, I am no NFT bro. I am so far out of my depth of field here. It is wild. But because Courtyard.io, all their stuff is on the blockchain, it can be tracked to a degree. I don't know how much of this is repack volume and how much of it is marketplace volume. I assume a huge chunk of it is the repack volume, not the marketplace volume. Regardless, they are doing work. 78.4 million in August. And this is coming off of basically 6 months straight of 45 plus million. And then they spiked in August. Now, what caused the spike? That I don't know. My theory is the big marketing push from the National. That's the only thing that I can think of. They had a very busy booth at the National. A lot of people were in line to try that thing out as opposed to the Arena Club booth. That's the only thing I can think of. I do still see a ton of their ads on like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. So maybe that's part of it too. But I'm guessing it was from a push from the National. We'll see how they do this month. This is why PSA has built out this whole new business on the back end. This is why people are walking around card shows, buying out tables left, right, and center, riding around on their Zion cases with sticky notes and Sharpies, aka the Sticky Note Brigade. This is why you're seeing all that stuff. Though, and especially with the digital repacks, a lot of the inventory stays in system. I talked about this in yesterday's video. It's like 70 to 80% plus of the cards are sold back to the digital repack companies. That's just a free money glitch. That is a free money glitch. They have literally unlocked the money trees. And it's just, it is the season. It is a ripe harvest. And this is just Courtyard. I don't know how big they are compared to Arena Club. And this is also not factoring in all the physical repacks out there, like the old school stuff that like Backyard Breaks and all the different breakers are ripping left, right, and center. Plus Panini or Fanatics Insta Rips. Plus, which hasn't even really fired up yet, the new GameStop graded power packs. That's going to be coming online as well. And back, I want to reference that video that I did back, and I think it was October of 2023, talking about repacks impact on the hobby. And back then, I was pretty pro it, and I'm not anti it now, but I understood the liquidity that the repackers were injecting into the system almost 2 years ago now, because I was seeing it at card shows where these guys were coming in and just wiping out tables, injecting hundreds of thousands of dollars into the room. And that was 2 years ago, before we've even gotten anywhere close to this level of nonsense. Back then, the difference is back then, and this is where I talk about the ecosystem, things were more in balance. What's going on one side of the ecosystem affects the other side, even if it doesn't necessarily affect you. You could be sitting there at home going, why the hell do I care about repacks? I've never bought one in my entire life. I don't care about them. They still impact you because they're driving the prices of the cards that you own or want to own. And I'm not saying that that's good, bad, or indifferent. But what has changed over the years is the balance. 2 years ago, things were more in line. Now, they feel way out of whack, in my opinion. Things feel skewed to the repack side of things, to the point where, and I've done topics or I've done videos on it, that it almost feels like the repackification of the hobby has propped up the market to a degree on a lot of stuff. Case hit stuff, absolutely. Downtown, kabooms, whatever. But all this money is getting flushed into the system, even though, like vintage cards, for example, vintage cards generally are not targeted by repackers for the most part. But all this money circulating around is going to make its way over into the markets that it doesn't even touch, because you have people getting cashed out. You have dealers getting cashed out. You have flippers getting cashed out. They're taking that money and then they're going to spend it somewhere else. And like I said, I don't know that any of this is bad. The part that I worry about is it artificially propped? And maybe that's the wrong question to be asking, or the wrong way to be stating it, maybe. Is it artificial? If the demand for repacks holds, it's not artificial. This is just the way now. And as we discussed yesterday, potentially, we'll see how this all plays out, it's going to be potentially less cards coming out of PSA into the secondary market because of their new instant offers thing. So a lot of people could just be, if you send an order and your goal is to sell the cards, and it pops up on the screen that you could get these instant buyout offers from PSA on the cards that you submitted, and the values are good, and it's going to vary. You might not get any offers at all. You might get weak offers. You're going to get strong offers on at least some cards. Why would you mess around having the card shipped home? That takes time. Walking around a show, trying to find someone to sell it to, that takes time. And God knows what happened to the player in between, when you could just boop, hit a button, and the money's in your checking account in like 24 to 48 hours. That's less cards coming back. They're entering that repack vortex. The amount of money sloshing around in repacks right now is insane. Why do you think everybody is running to it? Why is GameStop and PSA launching a whole separate thing, a whole separate LLC, a whole separate business to run their own repack to sell to GameStop users? Why is PSA getting into the repack verification game with the partnership that they did with Jeff Wilson and anyone else that wants to partner with them? Why is Jeff Wilson running out of repack? Why did Courtyard come up out of nowhere and all of a sudden is a massive powerhouse? Why do the breakers all do it? It is making a ton of money. Brian Gray spent $3 to $4 million at the National buying 4 Fanatics, allegedly, for Insta-Rips. The money is flowing hand over fist in the repack space. The companies themselves are throwing monies around for sponsorships left, right, and center, and it is insane amounts to the right influencers. They're spending like crazy. Money is flowing everywhere. And the ingenious stuff, we didn't even talk about this yesterday in the PSA video. The stuff that they're doing is so next level, because for like the thing they're doing with Jeff Wilson that the PSA verified repack or whatever, if more and more people go to PSA for that, here's the little thing in the fine print on that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. It's PSA only graded cards. The GameStop Power Pack one that they're doing, which is probably going to be a massive success. I've heard that the beta was a massive success and they didn't even have that many users in the program and it just crushed. Guess what? PSA only graded cards. If those couple of repacks take off, and if all of a sudden the repack buyers only want PSA graded cards, that's going to have a demand impact on PSA versus the other grading companies to a degree. It's definitely not going to help. I don't know if it's going to have a huge impact, but it for sure isn't going to help. And if that PSA verification program takes off, if other repackers decide to use that program, PSA only graded cards. How does that sound? For PSA, great. Their insertion into everything has been a masterclass of business. You don't like it. I get it. I understand it. You don't like the conflict of interest, whatever. Fine. Perfect. Your opinion, I get it. But if you just looked from the outside looking in, removed yourself from the hobby and just looked at it from like a business perspective, like a college course, it's chef's kiss, the way that they've integrated themselves into literally everything. We'll talk more about that in the most powerful company in the hobby video that I am workshopping. Repacks are driving everything right now. It is the most dominant force in the secondary market. And I think it's the biggest story of 2025. And I don't think it's really close to this point. Maybe Topps getting the NBA license and stuff like that. I mean, that's not really a new story. We all knew that was coming. Maybe something like that takes the cake. There's still a lot of time left in the year. But I think the overarching story out of 2025 is the impact that repacks have had on all aspects of the hobby. This is 80 million just from Courtyard. Just from Courtyard. It is crazy stuff out there. If you're into it, cool. Hey, I get it. They are better ROI than ripping a hobby box. That's why they're so popular. That is how we got here. The why and the how did this happen? It's simple. People were spending $1,000 on a box of Prism football or basketball, getting punched in the face with $50 to $75 worth of cards out of it when it was all said and done. You could buy a $1,000 repack and get a $600 card, still lose your ass, but you feel a lot better about it. You feel way better about it. Because one, you're getting a card that actually has at least some value. Two, you're getting a card that's probably at least cool or halfway decent, as opposed to some third string quarterback purple pixie Pulsar Prism out of 72 that's worth $15. You're probably getting some cool Hall of Fame rookie or a cool on-card auto or a Downtown or a Kaboomy, what Color Blasts, insert popular case hit here. And it's all about the psychological of how you feel after opening it. That's what it all comes down to. That's how we got here. The manufacturers made such shit product with such high prices that it drove the degens into repacks, and the repacks are a more enjoyable experience than ripping the actual manufactured product. And the other aspect of it is, which we've touched on in the past, it is and just think about this for a minute. If you're a breaker, it is in your best interest to push repacks, not Panini and Topps product. Pushing Panini and Topps product, the profit margins are A, slimmer. B, you're beholden to them. You are beholden to Panini and Topps or your distributor to get product. They're the heart. They are your lifeline. They pump blood into your business. If you solely rely on them and you get cut off, you're done. You're screwed. Game over. Pack it up, pack it in. With a repack, you're free. It's, the Ultron. There's no strings on me. You could do whatever you want. You don't need Topps and Panini's product because you're selling essentially your own product at higher margins, and you have essentially unlimited supply as long as your little sticky note brigade keeps feeding the beast. It's smart business for the breakers to pump the repacks instead of Topps and Panini's product. Why do you think Fanatics was like, oh boy, we need in this game, fire up Insta Rips? It's crazy times out there. Crazy times. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. I want to try to do a solo live this week. I don't know that it's going to happen. It's been a long time since I've done a solo live. Maybe, I can't do Thursday night. There's football. Friday night, there's football. Maybe late Saturday. I have a family thing to go to. Maybe late Saturday. We'll see. Or maybe Saturday morning. We'll fire up a solo live for a little bit. We'll see how the day goes. I have a family birthday party to go to Saturday afternoon / evening, about an hour away. So it might depend what time I get home from that. But I would like to do a solo live. We have Off Center next week, but I've not done a solo live in months. So that's all I got. Catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.